Oh my God. Hey guys, now you can hear me. I apologize about that. All right, so you can hear his side of things, so you kind of have a general idea of what we were going to be talking about. Ryan mentioned Roswell and Wi-Fi, and that possibly the governments have, or our government specifically, covered that up. A lot of disinformation went around at that time as well. A lot of other UFO sightings and like pictures and stuff that just make it look weird. I think a lot of those are possibly CIA, UFO cover-ups possibly, or just like really shitty trolls. I was going to pull up so you mentioned this technology, over the last, and you're more specific on numbers, man. I don't know the numbers. How many years, can you state that again while I pull this up?
Oh, yeah. Well, I believe Roswell was late 30s, maybe 37. And according to a lot of theorists, look at how much computing advanced in that. I mean, we did have mathematical computing, no real machines. Or maybe if we did have machines, they'd be like 8-bit ones and zeros, but not much. And then in 60 years, all of a sudden we're streaming stuff with our phones,
Yeah.
And if you did look at the trend in which technology was increasing, it hit a very sharp spike, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, leading to where we are now.
I think I found, and I'm going to put it over the my stream, so if you have my stream up, you can see it a little bit and comment about it. Our faces will be covered up, but here is a oh man, no, this is different. This is transistors. Hold on, I'm trying to find. I've seen this before. The curve of technology over time and how, the maybe information era. Oh, maybe that's an information era timeline. Man, okay. Well, here's the thing. I can't find it right now, guys, because it's pretty difficult for me to do while streaming. I wish I had a mod able to do this from right now. Oh, here's one that kind of works. What is this? Bitrate, distance, whatever. Okay, it's basically a curve like this, guys. I've seen it before. I can't pull it up right now. I can't find it. I want to keep the stream moving, but it's basically like technology since the beginning of time, basically, and it's like very small, and then suddenly in the 60s, 70s, 80s it starts going up, and then obviously the 90s, 2000s shoots up, and we're in this point where we don't know where it's going to stop at the rate in which technology is increasing. Now that could also just be the initial reverse engineering of a spacecraft, and then us manipulating that and learning more about it maybe over time as well. But I'm also a firm believer that if spacecraft have been abandoned, hey AJ, love you too. If spacecraft have been crashed and taken by any governments, I do believe that would immediately be, the reason for secrecy and disinformation makes sense. Could you imagine being in control of a country and you have the opportunity to look at a spacecraft and have the opportunity to learn about the world or the universe, really, if it is an alien spacecraft, and if you can grab technology from that before other countries, that's a huge advantage defense-wise, and it's a huge advantage just technology-wise. The first internet networks were based off of military back in, I don't know the years, but it was during the Soviet Union, when Soviet Union was up, and during the Cold War. The reason why we made networks was because if certain cities got bombed, we needed to have a what do you call it? It's not a web. It is a web network, but it's hold on. In case a city, so say you need, the government on the East Coast needs to communicate with the government on the West Coast, but if you have one line going from, Los Angeles to Dallas, and then to Washington, D.C., and then Dallas gets blown up, there's no communication. So they invented the network of the internet. Every time you send a message to the internet, it might travel a different path. So they have technology before it's mass released to public. And I think they try to hold on to that type of technology as long as they can. Before
I think they say it's the government creates it and they have it for about 10 years before it comes to consumer markets.
Yeah, like when we're talking like processors, you know, like I know that one specifically was one, like the government supercomputers, you know, had kind of like the early version of our like really nice like Intel processors type, you know, brand. But yeah, it is really interesting. But I guess moving on from that, like I kind of want to keep it back onto aliens. You know, it is really easy to get into like government cover-ups and government, you know, things and talking about aliens and UFOs. But,
definitely. There's so much of it.
It is. I mean, they are really interlaced when it comes to information about them.
Well, I could really knock you a new one and send you this link in Discord.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to send it in the right. Well, I also sent you a report from 1949 of a sighting in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Oh, interesting. I'm from Wisconsin. And
yeah,
I was born in
'89.
Dude, this is getting scary. Hold on. Okay.
It's 49.
Where did you send the first thing?
It's on the general channel of the Discord
in
your lounge.
Okay.
And then I sent you a story in an article. There's a theory that in 1954, President Eisenhower was part of the first meeting with actual like alien leaders.
Yes,
and he met with a few races, and there are documented to be, I want to say 12-ish races. A few of them, obviously, we know about the reptilians, the short grays, the tall grays, their leaders.
Well, some people in chat might not.
Oh, well, that's true.
They're in UFOlogy and alien communities, it is somewhat widely known that there are multiple races. That it's not just the what people usually think about with an alien, that would be a short gray, right?
Right. Yeah, so, that's the most common.
Yeah. So this is the I'm gonna show it up on screen. Like obviously you guys know. I'm just gonna. So these are obviously artist renditions of what this is what you normally see, short grays. But there are there's the reptilians, right?
Definitely.
Alien.
Reptilians. And there's also tall blondes.
Oh, those are like the
Nordics is what they call them.
Yep. Tall blonde aliens. They look very human, but they claim to live like throughout the universe, like indefinitely, don't they? And they're kind of like protectors of the universe in a way.
Right.
Yeah, this stuff gets really deep. This is where some people get lost, I think, though. There's
so much to it.
There's so much to it, but there are people who claim, multiple people who claim to be see these types of things. But yeah, so we covered small grays, reptilians, tall blonde. Do you know any other by name? Just to show
there's the Pleiadians.
Oh gosh, how do you spell that? Pleiadian.
That's a great question. I have it up right here.
I think I have it.
Pleiadian.
I'm pulling up a lot of what looks like to be the tall blondes ones or whatever.
Yeah, they're also. There's a lot of different types of tall blondes, including. This is a little bit weird, but the Aryans.
Okay.
Just like the Nazis.
Yeah.
Because they believe that there used to be an alien race who interacted with the Germanic people, and that's where pure blood Aryan race people come from. That's what Hitler and Himmler actually believed. It's wild.
Interesting. And then what's interesting about that though is that, I mean, military-wise, World War II, Germany, they had, they kind of changed the military game with tactics, with the Blitzkrieg, and just overwhelming your enemy before they can even form defenses, because they lost World War I in trench, where it's nowhere. And then that's actually why World War II happened. It was this Versailles Treaty that kind of fucked Germany for 50 years economically, or 40 years. But
that's
true. That is pretty interesting. I mean, there are a lot of very logical things for a while that was like that, but it is interesting, that theory.
They say the Nazis threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at the wall just to see what was stuck. They went into occultism. They looked at alternative energy sources. They explored, apparently they had a military base in Antarctica.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos, read a lot of stuff on this stuff, and it's all official Nazi era documents, government documents from Germany, in the 40s and 50s.
And not to mention that we got a bunch of Nazi scientists over from Project Paperclip. As soon as World War II was over.
What's Project Paperclip?
Project Paperclip was when, as soon as World War II was over, we took all their leading scientists, their top aerospace, their top weapons, their top biological weapons. We just took them, brought them to America, and had them teach us everything.
And like, because they were Nazis, we basically put them in like think tanks, right? And just like made them work and work and work. It's like, hey, you're not going to be hanged, work for us, basically, right? Yeah,
exactly.
They I forgot the name. I'm pretty well versed on World War II. I'm horrible with names, facts. I'm usually okay with dates for World War II, but the Nazi experiments, just as a side note, are just, that's another topic, a whole can of worms.
Dr. Mengele.
Yeah, just all that stuff is extremely interesting. And if you're into that, maybe we could talk about that sometime too. I'm not like into it, but it's extremely interesting. And that kind of does, if you kind of think about it too, and I know it's not really a good connection, but, a lot of people, abduct the, I don't want to say it in like a way that sounds bad. Like, I don't want to say claimed abductees, but like people who have been abducted or say they've been abducted, we all know the story that like, they were probing me, they were, doing tests on me and stuff. And like, just like uncomfortable things. And like, if you're making a connection to the Nazis through an alien race, and then also the kind of testing and stuff, it is kind of interesting, Well,
they say the short grays are the most likely to take you up and probe you.
Yeah.
And they say they do that because they're trying to make a hybrid program.
That's interesting, yeah, because it's something about like their like genetics, right?
Yeah, they've evolved so far past the ability to like, because they're hundreds of years old, they're like irradiated, just complete, no exercise.
I've heard some of those theories, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to make some sort of hybrid.
Yeah. What's your thought on this? I have a general theory, not a general theory, but okay, so we do know, what are they called? We do know that in our magnetic field around Earth that there are hot spots that create portals. This is real, guys. This is NASA official release. Now, these portals are generally connected to solar flares on the sun. What happens is there's a magnetic like anomaly, and this happens every day, all the time, all over the Earth, and it's random. The magnetic fields of the Earth are kind of, reach out into space a little bit, and if it's kind of like a really charged spot and a solar flare hits it from the sun, it creates a portal where the solar flare was sourced from. And this is official NASA stuff, NASA solar flare portals. They call them, this is nasa.gov, guys, okay? This is literally nasa.gov. And this is an article they've posted, hidden portals in Earth's magnetic field, all right? Now, this is a whole thing I can get into as well. However, I generally have a theory, even before I read that paper. A lot of times people see circles in the sky, and then they see like a lot of things moving around them. Have you seen footage of that kind of stuff? There's a lot of alien footage about that, like where it's just like a giant circle, and it looks like a ship, it's moving around something, and then there's like little things around it. I generally have a theory that I like to kind of think about, and I want to look more into it the more I, study aliens, is that some of this alien stuff, besides like the whole like the lore behind like different races and stuff, sometimes I kind of think like maybe like we discovered how to go through portals, and then like we've been in the future and the past, and like our as humans, have evolved into these weird creatures, and we're still coming back to Earth using these portals because maybe our sun and our magnetic field is one of the only ones that kind of really allows you to kind of jump around the universe, kind of like an intergalactic highway portal. That's why
that's a very common theory.
Yeah, we see a lot of activity in that. That's a really common theory. Yeah, and but then part of me kind of also, definitely really thinks like maybe some of the aliens are just like us, really fucked up in the future, and that's why they're taking people and trying to get some old DNA back in their current race, to kind of
like devolve themselves.
Yeah, because like we all know, if you live in space for like multiple years, you get pretty fucked up. Your body starts deteriorating, you get weak. it's just and I can imagine. Can you imagine thousands of years of that of your being?
Well, they say you also age slower in space too. I guess
interesting.
One twin went up and one twin stayed down, and they like studied them.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
That was Their DNA was different at the end too. They were no longer genetically similar. It was possibly the small radiation just changed it or something. I forgot what they officially said.
Right.
I think there's probably a lot of info on that they haven't really said because they don't want to freak people out about space shit.
Yeah, and you have to understand all this information that the government has is basically intellectual property. And so they have a fiscal duty to their shareholders and to their estates to make as much money off it as possible.
What do you mean by that specifically?
Well, just imagine the technology.
Okay, technology. Okay, yeah.
Definitely technology. I mean, obviously, if aliens came down, they cured all diseases, they eliminated hunger, a lot of people are out of work, and a lot of people lost trillions of dollars over the past 50 years of treating people, you know?
True. That isn't... I kind of have a side note on that, though. I don't want to cut you off, but...
Please.
Because I want to bring... I always, try to look at things a little bit more skeptic and logical. And I'm not saying anything you're saying is illogical there. But a great example that we can attach to would be just the technology right now. Like, a lot of people are saying automated trucks, semis. It's going to ruin the entire industry, and people are going to go out of work, and, it's going to be horrible for the economy for, those businesses that run trucks. I mean, we're talking truck stops. Yeah. There's a lot of industry around trucks. I used to sell... I
was just speaking about this last night, actually.
It's huge. It's a huge business or industry. I used to sell American Express business cards, and I would only work with businesses that had an annual income of like 10 million, and then my cap was like 50 mil or something like that. And I was talking to like the CEOs of those companies, and I would ask them their specific incomes, to verify so that if they've qualified for these programs that the business American Express. And every trucking company I got so many trucking companies on my leads. It's insane. Every single part of business involved with that, it's millions and millions of dollars every year. And then, so automated trucks, right? You're going to ruin a lot of that industry. Even the truck stops, like the little cafes on the side of the road.
Little diners,
all that stuff.
Exactly.
Those are the people I think are going to get hurt the most, who have a business, a physical brick and mortar business, and like now they're not going to get the traffic they used to. But also, I like to make a comparison to like phones. Back in the day, we had thousands upon thousands of people in every state connecting wires to connect phones together, right? Like, what do they call it? I forgot what they call it. You call and be like, I want to, connect me to this, and then like they do that. Yeah. That's how phones used to work. That was a huge, a lot of people were employed that way. But I mean, at some point, technology. No, see, if we didn't allow, automated phone connecting systems to implement, we wouldn't be anywhere where we are now on phones, even cell phones, but like technology has to move forward. It makes society better as a whole. And like the debate about the trucking stuff where, people are like, even if you can't do it, it's like, technology has to move forward. It'll decrease the cost of goods. It'll decrease the cost of goods to the consumers.
I think we're definitely in a weird transitory period between where use technology to help us rather than make us money.
Yeah, but we've been doing it for a very long time, and every time we do it, it makes things better. It makes your phone service better because a human isn't connecting the wires. That person doesn't have to be paid. You don't have to pay the trucker. You don't have to pay the dispatch. Well, probably there's still going to be electronic dispatchers, but it's going to be a lot easier, more automated. I mean, so like part of the cost of when you go to the store and buy something is the cost it took to ship it there. And if you take the human elements out of that, your goods are going to go down. And that's going to be good for society as a whole. It's not just automated truckings are cool. It's going to make goods go down in cost.
Well, I think the biggest problem we're going to face with automated trucking, because then it's going to extend to taxis and Ubers and delivery guys.
Pretty interesting.
Any kind of factory worker, any kind of it's all going to be automated eventually.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, definitely, it's inevitable. But here's the thing, though. I think the main thing with that stuff, and it sucks for people who are in the industry and currently in it. Those are the ones where it sucks. But maybe, in my mind, there should be a program like a back pay program or something that helps people go to like get like a degree. You know, because that's all it is. You just got to get a degree. You know, and that, I mean, obviously now we're talking like that's a lot of money as well. But government assisted degrees, I mean, come on, like that would be so easy to just get everyone in the trucking industry another degree. You know, a lot of those services, like people who are in the offices dispatching, they have valuable whatever. Let's get back to aliens a bit. I don't know why I got onto that. I think we're talking technology, how it evolves.
Interesting topic for sure.
But like, okay, so major alien events. Obviously, we talked about Roswell. We talked about how the government can possibly took technology from it, and that's and they used it, and then they finally released it to the. And I just another thing too about that technology. Why would they hold that technology and then release it to the public? Control, information. It's information collecting, control, providing a network for people. Everything, even right now, we're probably being recorded on a CIA super server. They're building them. They're like in like the middle of nowhere. They're just giant servers that store everything.
And if they don't, Google already is, or Facebook, or anyone. You know. I
know someone specifically. And I'm not going to name him, but very reliable source. He's an entrepreneur, and one of the things he wants to do is create a. And I've talked about this on stream before, but it's going to be interesting for this interview. A internet service in a community, a decent sized community, but not like a huge city, and that has only one provider for internet, right? And he wants to create. I forgot what they're called. A lot of people do this. It's like entrepreneurial type stuff. It's usually individual people, not major companies. They provide like basically like a 4G type service, but it's really good. It's like 100 up, 100 down through the. But you have to have a dish in your house, you know. So. He's very interested in looking at that because it can be extremely profitable, especially if the government makes internet utility, and then you can get government subsidies for that service as well.
Yeah, which we definitely need.
Yeah, so like he wants to get that going before possibly that happens. Now, the reason I bring that up is he has talked to a lot of people who have done this before, people who are actually running these types of services. What you need to do, you have a big cell tower and you have a transmitter that sends shit at an extremely high frequency out through, in like a 40, like a wedge pattern out, and to where you're trying to get connection. So, he's talked to a lot of people who've set this up and done this because he's interested in doing it. And a lot of those people end up saying, like, dude, one of the things that's the hardest decision is that I was contacted by the CIA. They were going to give me this much money to let them have free access to my servers, my information.
Wow.
And when you're an entrepreneur and you're creating a service and you're offered like 10, 20 grand.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be a real special type of person to say no.
And that's happening everywhere. I believe that's happening everywhere with collection data. Anything that can collect data, that's happening. Those offers are being made because they just want more information. Isn't that insane? Now, so that we brought that up in a reference to. So like that is a technology that possibly isn't the best for the public. It's great for us, but if the government got that technology from crashed UFOs. They definitely probably used it and for themselves for a bit, and then they realized that they could kind of get more information and control of the population.
I think if a government gets a new technology, immediately they're gonna first and foremost look at its potential for defense and weaponization.
Oh yeah.
And then they're gonna slowly leak it to probably the board of directors at whatever company they're on.
And then, the people who know about it buy a lot of shares.
Exactly. But real quickly, sadly, I only have about 10 minutes, so I'm going to give you some things.
Yeah, give me some things here, So,
maybe 5 minutes of chat questions if they have any.
Yeah, cool. Definitely, guys. So, if you have any questions, formulate some questions. He's very knowledgeable about aliens.
So in 1954, it's said that President Eisenhower did have a meeting with aliens. Yeah. And in return for some reverse engineering, more advanced computing, not everything, But some things, he said, oh, they say that Eisenhower allowed them to abduct a number of people and allowed them to get probed. And
that was the trade. They made a trade. The trade was technology and information, and then the trade-off was don't send your F-18 jets at us when we're in the air, and don't tell people we exist, and blah, 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 blah. We just want to, you know... And my brain sometimes thinks, well, why would it be like don't tell people it exists type stuff? Maybe it's because it can fuck with timelines. Maybe it is time traveling humans from the future going through these portals or some shit. You know,
it's entirely possible.
I always like to go back to that. I like that theory right now. I don't know why. I love that one.
Another notable event is a man named Valiant Thor. Two words. He is actually in a few photographs, like those old-timey photographs of a lot of people sitting around some sort of discussion room in the Pentagon. They say there's a few photos of him. Apparently he's a Venetian who came to...
Is that an alien race?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the really tall, not the tall blondes, but they look like the tall blondes, right?
They say he's actually in a suit. That's not his actual real appearance. And it's like a suit that he can like shift and bend at will and just pop on.
His body?
Yeah. Huh. Like a human suit that looks real.
Oh, okay, so like a skinwalker.
He said he could just walk past security, pretty much telekinetically being like, "You're not gonna stop me. You don't care that I'm walking
like Jedi mind trick type shit, right?
Exactly.
Like telepathic type abilities. Yeah, I definitely think at some point in human evolution that there's a lot of studies that show, you know, like once information's out there, like people know about stuff that like you look at the discovery of things, you know, people who are completely isolated from each other and one person invents something and discovers it, there's usually like another 2 or 3 people at the same time doing the same exact thing, you know, and it's always like a race to get it patented. Like if you look at all major technology and stuff, it's usually like that. But then also more so specifically, they did, definitely any questions, guys. Ask some questions now if you have any.
But yeah, I think we've been visited for thousands and thousands of years. Obviously, alien or ancient aliens is a pretty common idea. But I do like the idea that it is actual future people coming to the past to be praised as gods. Yeah. It's something like humanly egotistical for us to do.
It is very interesting. And maybe because like we've had near Earth extinctions events, you know, of humans in the past. You know, maybe things have occurred in the past and they realized it wasn't the best for us. You know, and maybe that's what period we're in now. You know, because like a lot of those theories in the past, it's like it was hand in hand. You know, it was like the aliens and the current humans were, you know, pretty much buddy. You know, but that's not the case now.
Not to mention the fact that UFO sightings boomed in like the 40s when we started developing nuclear technology.
Oh yeah, right. Dude, you know Aaron Rodgers, NFL quarterback, Green Bay Packers. Yeah. You know, big famous celebrity, right? Highest paid quarterback in the NFL, I think, or maybe they changed it. Maybe someone else got it now. But even he has a story where he was like, "Yeah, I was at my buddy's house before the draft, out in like New York, out in the boonies of New York, kind of." And he even has a claim where like there's a nuclear power plant, and suddenly all these sirens went off, and he was like, they were all freaking out, like, dude, is there gonna be like a leak or an explosion, you know? And then I think he said he saw a lot of lights shining up in the sky or something, or down, couldn't tell. And then they heard almost like 2-3 minutes later after those alarms, jets flying overhead.
Wow.
And this is the NFL quarterback for Green Bay Packers. Like, and he was like 100%, like, because he's gone on like a talk show with a guy who's, I mean, I'm not like full blown like conspiracy guy right now. You know, it'd be kind of cool to do that at some point. But like a real conspiracy nut knows a lot of stuff and interviews people. And he obviously just had Aaron Rodgers on just to have him on. And then he's like, by the way, Aaron, do you have any? He's like, do you believe in aliens? He's like, oh yeah, yes, I do, like 100%. He's like, there's no doubt about it. It's like, this is interesting. Like, I don't know. I love when celebrities actually are out and like they tell their stories. But before you go, maybe someone will have a question about this. Can you quickly tell us about your UFO sighting?
Yeah, it was very uneventful. I was at a drive-in theater probably 12, 13, super clear night, so I was looking at the stars between movies. I caught a glimpse of a shooting star, that trail.
Okay, cool.
And then I caught a glimpse of what looked like it should have been a shooting star. But there was no trail behind it. It was just a solid orb.
Yeah.
It looked super high up, almost like a plane, but it was going so fast.
Yeah.
It cleared about, I don't know, 2 miles worth of sky, stopped, did a 90-degree turn,
you witnessed an alternate direction?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I knew it was a UFO.
So that's why now...
Planes don't do that. Stars don't do that.
And that's why you're on Reddit posting about aliens all the time, right?
That definitely started a ball rolling.
Okay,
yeah.
That definitely makes sense. I mean, those are the most interesting ones. There's actually NASA footage of that occurring as well from the space station. Have you seen that? It's there's one and just pretty much but no, I'm sorry. I want to do more interviews with you. I think we have a lot to talk about. It's kind of fun. Like I want to have you kind of regularly on, man. I like talking to you. This is really interesting, and I'm going to read the text that you've given me. I have right now. I had that PDF, and then all I had. Then I got the gray aliens one. Did you send another?
I sent you one on Valiant Thor. And that report from Wisconsin, like I said, man, I have just hundreds of things similar to that. Just size, speed, how many people saw it. And there's no conclusions left or right. It's all just documenting the actual
so there's
event.
multiple individual people who witnessed that Euclair sighting. Well, just before I read it, I'm kind of curious before I read it. What shape was the UFO? What kind of UFO was it?
The one I saw?
Yours was the orb, right? But do you know what the Euclair one was?
The what?
Do you know what the Wisconsin one was?
Let's see.
That's crazy. That was like right when I was born, too.
Round like moon with flaming ragged border, which appeared to droop at the bottom.
Wait a minute. It was a flaming orb?
Yeah, and they say there have been multiple reports of these things like almost dripping lights, as if whatever it's dripping is luminescent.
Okay, so I don't know if I saw a UFO or not. I was really young, not really young. I was probably about 10 or so, 11, and I've always I didn't consider it to be a UFO. I've always kind of considered it to be a dream in my memory until I've heard about the same type of shapes being seen by other people.
That's super interesting.
And I'm still I don't know, but I remember very vividly being in my house and in the kitchen and looking out the window, and I saw a giant red. I thought it was a comet. I'm not as a kid, you imagine, when you see cartoons, that giant round flaming thing, but it was there was no trail or anything. And it was presumed to be coming towards, kind of, I think, or I felt like it was getting bigger, it was getting larger, but not it got up to me or close to me. But it was larger, and then it was off to the side. That's what my memory is, and it was red, orange, yellow, and just kind of flaming. Not flames coming off it, but it was it looked like it was glowing almost. And other people have talked about seeing that. That freaks me out. And I'm
and it's interesting because that description of UFO is oftentimes expressed in religious texts.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you look at old religious and Christian paintings, you'll see angels coming down on glowing fiery orbs. Yeah,
and especially a lot of old art and stuff too. Even the Mona Lisa has a kind of a shining orb. It's a golden kind of with rays from it. I don't know.
So obviously we have this big history of getting visited, and obviously we make our own idea of what it is. Can you explain it?
Yeah, for mine particularly though, it didn't I never thought it was a UFO, and even now it's man, I wish I was older when I saw that and really understood, because it was so old. My first thought was I need to find my mom, and she wasn't in the house. I guess she left to go get something, and I was what do we do? I think we're gonna get hit by a meteor. That's what I thought it was, a comet, because it was just glowing and looked fiery, But it never came down. It just stayed up, and it kind of just went. It didn't change direction or anything. It looked it started kind of this is very far off. It was in. Question about yours too. It was in the atmosphere. It was definitely not like up, out.
Right.
It was like at about above cloud level a little bit for the day, and I could tell it got bigger, but then it moved.
Right.
That's all I remember, and I kind of talked it off to like, well, that was weird, and I had no one to talk about, and I probably just played video games, forgot about it, and then I still remember.
Yeah.
But was yours? Could you perceive if it was in our atmosphere, or was it? Do you believe it was?
It looked high up.
Oh, so like in the
probably like a mile up at least, and it's hard to distinguish. You know, if you've ever looked at a plane going up 20,000 feet to 30,000 feet, it doesn't look that different. You know, so it's hard. It's hard to verify every possibility. You know.
Yeah.
Every bird or swamp gas, as they say, or Venus, or
right, yeah,
even like a satellite or the space station.
Right, yeah.
But
my favorite footage are space station footages, though. Those are the most like crazy.
And there's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
There's more
have
than
you
one.
seen the one where the guy? It's an astronaut doing a spacewalk. I know you got to go. It's telling me to quit it when we quit it, man. But like, there's an astronaut. He's being filmed working on some shit on the space station. And to the back left of him, there's a camera facing. I think he had a camera out and then facing him. So as you can see his helmet and his shoulders. And to the left of over his shoulder, it was black space with reference to Earth a little bit. I guess on my screen it would be like, hold on, let me get the actual live. Okay, it would be like fuck it. It's just the bottom corner is covered, but the top right or the top left is like black, and we see a couple things kind of fly by, real quick, and they don't seem to be going away or out. They seem to be kind of, maybe some of them kind of curve around the Earth. There's like 3 or 4 of these during this footage, and here's what happened. Like you saw like 1 or 2, and like some of them changed U'd, some of them did a U on the way up. None of them did like a stop and up, or not like a 90 degree, but they did a giant U up, really fast, and then
in space
from a face cam.
There's no birds.
Astronaut.
Yeah.
Now,
there's no bugs. There's no birds. There's so much stuff here.
He put his hand up over the black space, dude. The astronaut covered up the black space and tried to reorient so that spot of space wasn't visible. That's crazy. Like, you have ground control saying, dude, your footage is fucked. Cover that space up now.
Please do it. Yeah, exactly.
Like, that is crazy. Yo, Silver, Ryan's just about to leave. Do you have any alien questions? It'd be nice to have a chat question. And, dude, I want to stay in communication with you and keep you on more.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the most fun I've had talking to someone in like an extremely long time. Like, you're right.
I wish we had like 3 or 4 or 5 more hours to dive into it.
Definitely. Yeah. We'll
next time we're gonna have to set up something longer.
Yeah. I don't even mind if it's like if it's your day off and it's afternoon for you and it's like 2 a.m. for me or some shit. I'll do it, man. I'll fucking do it. I want to have like a 2-3 hour conversation with you. And
definitely.
Maybe not just talk. Maybe not alien focused, but like just like.
Oh, I have a lot of interest. Trust me. Yeah. Conspiracy, government, occult.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we turn this into, kind of too, as well.
Yeah, and it's all interconnected too. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah, definitely. Then I guess my last question to you, for a personal question, are you an X-Files fan? Have you?
Oh, I love the X-Files. I did stop watching. Have you seen the whole thing, the series?
Here's the problem. Like, I watched a lot as a kid. It came out when I was a kid. Like, I was born in '89. I'm 29, so like I don't know. When I was like 10 or like 8 years old, I don't know, whatever. I watched it all the time. Scared the fuck out of me, but I so loved it. And as an adult, I've gone through attempting to watch it entirely. It's just so much content, dude. Watching it entirely from start. I think I've watched from episode 1 to like season 5.
Yeah, it's good.
I need to get further. I mean, there's like 11 seasons, I think. But
yeah. I stopped after like season 10 because it started to go downhill quick, and I realized that I should probably just cut it off. It's
pretty rough. Yeah, like,
don't drag it out. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. Some of my favorite episodes are when Scully's gone and they're trying to figure that out. That's pretty. Those are nuts, dude. But yeah, definitely. All right, man. Dude, I definitely want you on again. I would, if it works, I would love to have you on after I interview, because you seem to be a normal, like a very, like, you have your head's on your shoulders conspiracy theorist, you know.
I'm not yelling about squirrels attacking me or government listening to me.
Yeah, and you have a skeptic mind, and so I think it would be awesome to have you on after possibly somebody's not like that. You know, like if I'm able to get one of these alien abductee claimants, you know, and like it seems kind of sketchy and weird, I would love to have you on after and like we talk about it, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Try to make sense of it, you know, like in a skeptic way. But like, what? So he did say, like, you know, he felt like this feeling. A lot of people do say that, you know, maybe stuff like that. But I don't know. But yeah, let's definitely stay in touch on Facebook. I'm glad we got connected on Facebook. That's really easy to figure out when we can do things. Generally, dude, I'm able to stream at any time, really. Like, if you give me a message saying, hey, man, I got 3 hours to talk, I will drop everything I'm doing, pick up the stream, get it ready to go, dude. And
that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, I want to talk to you for like three hours, man.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Definitely. It's definitely appreciated. And I'm
going to leave you guys with one more thing to look up. Put it in chat on Twitch. His name is Paul Hellyer. He's the former Minister of Defense for all of Canada. And he's come out multiple times saying we've been working with multiple alien races.
That's the best. The extremely high up official people. Are you giving me a link to look, or just the name? Just the name?
Just the name. Yep. You can Google it. You'll find so much on them.
Okay, very interesting. I'll put that in my tab right now. You know, so you can see on Twitch about this time. I said about an hour in. That's where it'll start picking up with viewers. There'll be a little more interaction. So, like, if we can definitely at some point do like a 2, 3, 4 hour talk, it'll get pretty interesting with chat and stuff. I believe a lot of people on Twitch are interested in this kind of subject. So,
definitely.
I don't have you on camera now. Oh, fuck. Hold on. But all right, shit. I want your face there when you say goodbye. Hold on. All right,
cool, man.
Definitely check them out. All right, definitely appreciate
Thanks
having
again.
you on, man. Have a good one.
You too.